right, good morning. This is Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, and of course, this is the big story. Your gateway to deep conversations, fearless analysis, and uncomfortable truth. Today, we unpack a theme that sits at the heart of Nigeria's persistent challenges, leadership failure, and the silent but significant role of followers. I am Samson Balogun. Thank you for joining us. For decades, Nigeria has wrestled with leadership that often falls short of vision, accountability, and transformative impact. We have seen missed opportunities, recycled incompetence, and repeated national disappointments. But here's the twist. Do followers have a role in this failure? This is a question we'll ask this morning. Across the globe, citizens shape the tone of governance through sustained civic engagement, policy advocacy, electoral choices, and refusal to normalize mediocrity. In contrast, many Nigerians retreat into silence, ethnic bias, religious bigotry, political apathy, or even worse, blind loyalty. Is our leadership crisis purely a problem of those at the top, or a reflection of what we permit at the grassroots? How do other countries hold their leaders to account? And what can we learn from those systems where leadership is truly servant-driven? Of course, on this edition of The Big Story, we dive into the Nigerian paradox, a nation full of brilliant minds, yet stuck in cycles of underperformance, and compare it to global models of leadership follower synergy that drive progress. This is what we have to discuss on the show this morning. And thank you for joining us. Do not forget to keep the conversation going. Link up with us on all socials at Dominion Broadcast. Watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng. I will not be doing this alone this morning. I have a special guest, and with him we'll be making sense of how leadership has failed Africans, Nigerians in general, and what we have to dissect this morning really touches the heart of every Nigerian out there. Good morning to you, Sam Nwoko.
Good morning, viewers. You're welcome to The Big Story.
Sam Nwoko is the editor of the Nigerian Tribune, and with him we'll be making sense of this particular topic this morning.
Yes.
Now, in the Nigerian context,
Deputy editor.
Deputy editor.
Yes.
Okay. All right. In your view, what defines leadership failure, especially in the Nigerian context?
In simple terms, leadership failure is what is written all over us, written all around us. Leadership failure is failure of provision of electricity. Leadership failure is failure in infrastructure. Leadership failure is failure in creating those enabling environments for various kinds of businesses to thrive. Leadership failure is not being able to galvanize the people to show patriotism and do those things that would help the country in moving beyond where it is at the present. So leadership failure encompasses all the things that have brought us to where we are today as a country. So leadership failure, as far as I'm concerned, is just that which is staring us in the face. The poor metrics, the poor statistics that are, the poverty capital stuff, the illiteracy level and all those things, all of them define leadership failure in their own various ways. So leadership failure, when you encompass it, when you take it as a whole, is the failure of the country to rise to its potentials.
Is it bad leadership, or weak followership, or dogmatic followership, as you would put it?
I think it's bad leadership because it starts from there. The leadership will define what the followership will be. If you have a good leader.
Isn't it meant to be the other way around?
No.
They were once followers before they became leaders.
Yes. If we are a good follower, it's because you had a good leader who was able to galvanize. I remember some of the things that we read about Chief Obafemi Awolowo. So, some of his acolytes, some of his close associates who smoked and womanized and so on, because those regular human things. When you are coming to a meeting with Chief Awolowo, some of them wrote that they will keep their girlfriends in another town before they go to have a meeting with Chief Awolowo. That's because you know who your leader is and you know the kind of things that
do around it.
fit into the framework he has created. So it's for me, it boils down to leadership. It is the leadership that will create the kind of followership, and when it trickles down, they say they do it also, so nothing will happen. And that we saw at the very the outset of the Buhari administration. When he came in, everybody remember what they called body language. Body language was because they knew him as a tough military leader at that time, and they knew that he broached or he didn't condone any kind of misdemeanor. So people watched to see if it is the Buhari of the military or a different Buhari. And when they saw that it was a different Buhari, everything went back to factory setting. That's poor leadership. So if he had put his feet on the ground and said, look, no, this is, and you punish the misbehavior, that would have given us. So it all boils down to leadership. When the leader is firm and says no to what some of the followers are, showing him, if he says no to that and they see that he is not doing it himself, then I'm sure everything will change.
How did we get here? And moreover, isn't this beyond just one person?
It is. It is beyond one person. It is everybody's thing. You see, as it is now, we are trying to return we are turning the table. We are saying, okay, leadership has failed, let's try followership. But it won't work that way. When you know that the leaders themselves will also ruin whatever the followers are trying to do. Look at what, it may be crude, it may be described in various ways, but followership wanted to take the lead in the NSAS. They wanted to say, look, we don't want this anymore. These are the terms we want and so on. But it was crude, it wasn't defined, it had no direction and so on. But they had something in mind. What they had in mind was, okay, we don't want this type of leadership. We don't want this type of policing. We don't want our leaders to condone these kind of things. The followership tried to do it, but leadership quelled it. There was no time they sat together after once to say, okay, we are going to. Even when they sat together and made agreements, and the president then addressed the nation, everything was still as if nothing had happened. And that led to how the NSAS attempt by followers to take the lead ended. So it is both ways.
Why do we keep recycling the same set of leaders?
Unfortunately,
those who have failed, they still come back. They are recycled.
Yes.
Once a governor, then a senator, a minister, eventually, most likely, will become a president. They are still the same set of people.
It is the
when will it change?
See, now, there are two ways to look at it. The first is that before now, I know that there used to be a tax system that was enforced in such a way that people knew that they had to pay certain taxes and levies. And the leadership was very strong in doing that. I remember Wike, the same Wike, when he was the local government chairman in Obiakpo in Rivers State. There is something called Obiakpo boys, or in other words, Wike boys. They would enforce that you conform to the rules set by the local government. And that time, local government was still local government. It is not what we have now, when local governments are no longer local governments. Now, leadership there created the atmosphere for you to behave in certain ways. That is how it is when you leave this country. That is how it is when you are driving outside this country, and your convoy will not be bullying people off the road. It doesn't happen when our leaders go outside this country. When they go out, they see things as they are. They see that you conform to rules, you obey traffic rules, you obey simple rules. You don't even make noise in your neighborhood. You don't play loud music and so many other things. But when you come back to this country, you feel, okay, I'm above the law, and you do whatever you like. And when you do that, the laws which are supposed to keep you in check, you manipulate the law with certain people supporting your manipulation of the law. So that now made it to spread. So I'm saying it is two ways, because the leaders will do things and wish that the followers do not do them. It doesn't work that way. So it is the leaders who have influenced the followers, and by creating that influence, they have made the followers to go haywire. And that is why you have, if you drive on the streets, you know what I'm talking about. There are no rules. I know rules and no bounds. You can do it anyhow. That's what Bob Marley sang. That's what it is. There are no rules. There are no bounds. You can do it anyhow. And that's because the leaders condone those kind of things. There is no punishment for misdemeanor, and there is no reprimand for misbehavior. So it's like that.
Now, let me take this. Since independence in the year 1960, Nigeria struggled with a leadership crisis marked by corruption, poor governance, impunity, and an absence of a visionary direction. The nation's potential has consistently been undermined by the leaders who failed to prioritize national interest over personal and sectional gains. Now, we have had different regimes, administrations. It has always been the same. Post-independence civilian era, 1960 to 1966, it was marked by a lot of maladministration. That was during the era of Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa and regional premiers. Issues of ethnic politics, electoral malpractices in the western region, northern region, and corruption weakened the First Republic at the time. And the result was that the military intervened, citing leadership failure and mismanagement at the time. Now let's talk about the military rule and authoritarianism. Nigeria was largely under military rule for nearly 30 years, and this era entrenched several deep-rooted leadership problems. Military coups were justified as rescue missions, but often led to worse corruption, suppression of rights, and misrule. Do not forget that till today, Abacha still sends us money from wherever
From heaven.
He still sends money. Nigeria receives alerts. Away from there, General Ibrahim Babangida, 1985 to 1993, he institutionalized the corruption, annulled the June 12, 1993 election, considered the freest in the Nigerian history. And then comes General Sani Abacha in 1993. I just spoke about him. Notoriously corrupt and repressive, billions stolen from national coffers. Still today, his family will say he did not steal Nigeria's money. Even to a point, the late president, former president Muhammadu Buhari would say Abacha was not corrupt. Well, whatever happens with that we still get alert from wherever he keeps our money. We are still keeping our fingers crossed. Maybe someday, someone will come out and say it openly, that he stole the money. Do not forget that the return of democracy during the Olusegun Obasanjo era, that was 1999 to 2007, same happened. Billions of naira was spent on electricity. Till today, Nigerians are still struggling with electricity. Most Nigerian men who are hardworking have now become Okada riders. They are now Marua riders. They are out there in the sun, hustling. If they had electricity, constant electricity, probably they would be doing their business the way it should be.
Sure, I agree with that.
But these are the challenges we are facing. Every now and then we spend money on things that will not see results. What's the problem?
Now, you see, you have taken a whole lot of things into one long sentence. Now, let me even look at it this way. When the first coup took place, it was blamed on poor leadership. When the second coup took place, it was also blamed.
Rescue mission, they call it.
They always come on a rescue mission. When Buhari came, I was in primary 6. That's 1983. 31st December 1980. We were on holiday when they announced the coup. And my uncle, he cried. He said, oh, these people have come again. It was during, we knew of Shagari. I was in Old Imo State. And he said, this man will set us back again, that we are trying to. I didn't understand all those things. Now, Buhari came. And by January 1, 1984, of course, he had become the president, the head of state, they called it. I joined the Y Brigade as a Form 1 student. I never began GS1 that time. I joined the Y Brigade as Form 1 student, and we were willing to do things as we were told. But soon after, everybody began to, even our teachers in school began to complain. Some would not come to class. My own school fees came late because my parents were in Ibadan. I was in Umuahia. My school fees came late. The principal called me and said, "Your people have not sent your school fees," and so on and so forth. I said, it's very unusual. How much was the school fees? I think it was 26 naira or so. So I had to use the principal's phone to call my elder brother and said, this is what the principal... He told me that things were bad and that inflation... he just generally complained. I didn't understand. My own was bring money. So by the time I got to Form 2, the next year, there was a coup. I was on holiday in Ibadan. I was going from my native Samanda. I was going to UI. I was going to Agbo. We had a football match. This boys club thing. We were walking on our way. As we got to Orita UI, just before the shopping complex, we saw people jubilating. We now said, what happened? They said they have overthrown Buhari. We joined, we began to jubilate and so on. I didn't understand, but at least I knew that my father would stop complaining and my brothers would send me my school fees. Bad leadership. And later, when we grew up to read what was happening, we saw that I know that we were queuing. We go on a queue to buy sugar. They called it essential commodities. You didn't have rice in such quantity. If I get as rice go plenty for your house, they go arrest you. That time. You had to queue. That one I loved. There was no rush at the bus stops. When you get to the bus stop, everybody will queue. That was when I learned the word queue. So that was Buhari. That I witnessed. That I experienced. But when IBB came, people jubilated and said, hey, August 27, 1985, around that time, we were on holiday. All I'm trying to say is that each leadership comes with a promise. And by the time they run into the administration and run into a certain term, it becomes a problem. Now, by then, they would have influenced followers. How do they influence followers? Some would, you spoke about blind followership in your intro. Blind followership is, you know it, I know it. People who take whatever their leaders do and try to justify it and try to explain it, whether it is justifiable or not. Now, when each leader comes, they will take the certain level of people. Fela sang about it. They will take some mumu chief, make them millionaire. They go begin explain and they go speak big English for newspaper. Take Dabaru, we Africans. They will come create their own kind of followership, and that followership will give us
start multiplying.
So that has been the thing in and out of government.
Have you heard of data boys?
I've heard of data boys.
They are online.
They
bully everyone inside out.
They are everywhere.
They are defending their paymasters.
So data boys is a followership, blind followership. At worst, I know some so-called data boys. What they do sometimes when they can't help it is they keep quiet. They will say, no. They will keep quiet. I know some that will say, Egbon, you get as things be, and so on and so forth. That is also a kind of followership. That now goes back to leadership. If your leader is a thief, you will not have any cause to justify not being one. Because, except perhaps if you choose not to be. If you choose not to be, that means that you are not completely towing the line of your leader. And when he finds out that you are doing certain things that in fact, the question they will say is, she won economy, not only you think say we know Sabi, that kind of thing. You become a pariah in that circle. They will single you out. So leadership, everything to me boils down to leadership. And leadership is you enforce. Because you enforce what you want. You make it, you stand firm on principles. That's why Awolowo stood out. That's why. That's why they still talk about him till today. Everybody knows that our leader will not take bribe. Our leader is working for the interest of the people. Our leader is doing it so as to grow the people. So if you do not fit into that frame, I mean, in the Kagai's Club, we say there is no dual belongation. You either belong in or you belong out. If you don't belong to that ideology, please go out and they will be watching you. So leadership is everything as far as I'm concerned. When you elect a leader from within, among the people, that leader will continue from what his own leaders are doing. I once spoke with a political leader in Osun. When local governments were local governments, he said, a financier said, these two local government chairmen that want to contest, I will write a check for their campaign expenses and everything and give it to you, the political leader. He said, when I collected the check, all of us, we thanked him and said, thank you very much and so on. When they got back home, he called the two contestants and said, this money belongs to you. Take your checks. He endorsed the checks because they were written in his name. Take your checks. Go and collect your money. Spend your money the way you want it, but spend it wisely. That is one political leader. If it were some other political leaders, you say, he will pay the money into his own account and he will be dishing it out as he wants. When that local government chairman becomes a local government chairman, he will say, this man was supposed to give me 5 naira, but he gave me 350. If he's supposed to give me 5,000, he gave me 3.5. He's supposed to give me 5 million, he gave me 3.5. So that my 1.5. And the political leader will not have any justification to query him because he will tell him, she better not know me. So that is leadership. By that, he had set them on the path to integrity and say, that is your money, spend it wisely.
Have we weaponized
poverty,
religion? Have we weaponized ethnicity? And then, have we weaponized poverty in Nigeria?
Yes. One word answer. And I think it got worse beginning from 2015.
Because on a good day, you will hear in Nigeria, and if someone is underperforming, and let's say an Igbo man is underperforming, and the Yoruba man says, why is he underperforming? You will be like, is it because he's not Yoruba? And then if an Hausa man is underperforming, and an Igbo man says, he's not doing so well, and you will be like, is it because he's not from your tribe? And then when they talk about a Christian, the Muslim will say, is it because he's not a Muslim? Or is it because he's not a Christian? How badly is this going to set us back as a country?
These things, these topics, these issues, these points have already set us back so many years. It's so bad that we look at everything now from the point of view of ethnicity, religion, and what's the third one? Poverty. But poverty is a thing of the mind.
Stand alone. That one is standing alone.
Poverty is out of it, but ethnicity and religion, they have been so amplified that it has become two distinct problems on their own. And as it is now, it will take us... I once wrote in my column that, look, the thing where ethnicity and religion has cost, it will take us a whole number, in fact, nearly a generation to be able to undo it. Because now, yesterday I was in a WhatsApp platform where they were discussing the Super Falcons. And before you knew it, the issue descended into ethnicity and religion.
How many Yorubas are in the team? How
I
many
felt,
Hausas are in the team?
God.
You will see an AFCON team and they will say, it's only Ahmed Musa that's an Hausa man in the team.
And how did it come about? Somebody just said, if Super Falcons had been selected with quota system, say this may not have happened. And that triggered it. Now, it was an innocent statement by my own reckoning. I never contribute when things like that. I will just be reading. Somebody said, if it was quota system they used, this may not have happened. He said, but now there was no quota system. They selected the team on merit, and here we are. And somebody now said, yes, like Super Eagles. This is what is killing Super Eagles. Quota system. Somebody say, is there a quota system in the Super Eagles? They say, yes, now you don't know. They say it's even soft too. Look at the coaching, and they will have to select from
origin.
From regions and so on. And I was just like, oh no. Here we go again. So ethnicity, religion, two different, distinct, big problems. And by my own estimation, we've always had it. Fela sang about it in 79. He go say, he say, we are Muslims, they in charge, they go use one, they now one big allergy, na him be director. We are Christians, they reign, na best friend to bishop, na him be director. You know, he sang it, and he sang it when we were children, or maybe we are just toddlers in the early 70s or thereabout. So it is not be today, but it became more pronounced from 2015, just about 10 years ago. And that was when people began to say, this man, everybody read about it that time now. This man, they said Buhari was appointing only people from his
appointments were lopsided.
Yeah, lopsided.
Tinubu is facing the same now. They say he's just appointing Christians just because he wants to balance things up.
Well, when Buhari's own started, the explanation was that he's selecting people who will best work with him. Tinubu came, they say he's selecting people who will best work with him. When you look at all these things, you see that there is a problem. And that problem is not something we can solve with a snap of the fingers. It is not going to work that way. So ethnicity, religion, poverty have been weaponized. And poverty has been weaponized long before now. The few people who tried to bring us out of poverty are no longer around. So what we now have are people who just give us fish. They no longer teach how to fish. Your lawmaker will come and say, I'm doing empowerment. I'm training people in computer. I'm training people in sewing. I'm training people in... But the business environment is not even helping. So maybe now some are beginning to have a rethink and say, okay, let us do this. But hey, how much will that do? Going into the number of problems that have been created. It's a very large issue. It's a very big issue. It's a very blinding light that is there.
Now, let's talk about the practical steps that citizens can take to hold leaders accountable in this dispensation. It's a new generation. Times have changed. Things have evolved. What exactly can citizens do to make sure leaders are accountable?
Citizens, I would have said, will elect leaders they know will give us the kind of leadership we want. But the foundation, you know, the Bible even says so. When the foundation is warped, what can the righteous do? When the foundation is bad, what do you want to do? So the foundation is a very big problem. But how do we even start? We are in a cul-de-sac, I want to believe. And somehow, I don't want to say, now God will save us. But at the same time, it's still God that will help us. Because as things stand, we don't have... See, when Tinubu is done, his 8 years, or as God wants it, when Tinubu is done, who will be the rallying point in the Southwest? There is no rallying point in the Southeast. All the rallying points in the North have been
depleted.
There are no rallying points anymore. So look at Nigeria. I'm looking at Nigeria in the next 10 years. I've been wondering what it would be like. I've been wondering what direction we'll be going. Personally, I've been ruminating on this. I've been like, okay, when Tinubu has done his 8 years, what next? Who is that person you say, only, now him be this? Is he grooming anybody? Maybe. But have you seen anything like that? Look at the antecedents. The kind of things you want to see your leader have. Those things that you say, yes, I want to. You see, when Nnamdi Azikiwe came back from the US after his studies, Awolowo said, I want to go and study and be like this man. And he went and did that and took up the leadership. Meanwhile, his own leader, his own role model is Jawaharlal Nehru. He said that this man, in fact, if you go to his house, the Nehru picture there in house, in the living room of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. You see it. And when you ask, he will tell you, that's the man I want to, I'm modeling my life after. You know, but how does he, how did he think he would get to that level? It's by behaving like those people, getting your education, and so on and so forth. Who is that person? Who are those people? So in the next few years, I don't know what will happen. By the time you get to my age, and by the time I get to the age of people we are looking at now, I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm afraid maybe, you see, God works in mysterious ways, and I'm sure he's going to step into our affairs. This country.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this very quickly before we go. What would you say to Nigerians who feel powerless and disillusioned by repeated leadership failures in this country?
We will keep hope alive, me. We will just have to keep hope alive. You know, some of us
Aren't people tired of being hopeful?
Well, you can't be tired of being hopeful. You see, if you can't be tired of being hopeful,
who have had so many promises.
You can't be tired of being hopeful because you want to go to heaven when you die. And what does that mean? You have to be hopeful. You have to work towards it. You know, if that is the goal, then find ways to achieve that goal. So we should not, as followers, lose hope. Let me even put it this way. If we want the kind of leaders that will give us what we want, then we have to know from among ourselves. You know, we have to stop somebody made a quote. He said, stop electing idiots. You know, so we have to stop electing people who do not fit into our political thinking. But how do you do that? Because whoever you are electing is also coming from you. And people turn. Hitler did not start out as a dictator. People turn, people change. You know. So how do you determine that? First, you have to at least play your own role of saying, no, this person has integrity, this person has the qualities, let me elect him. From there, you now watch. And you see, the constitution and the laws, we have enough laws, we have enough in the constitution, we have enough policies and so on. Just make the policies we have work. For over 1 year now, there has been a Supreme Court judgment on local governments. It's not working because the law is neither here nor there. The law is even confusing. So we should work towards things that we know are straightforward. You know, let's choose a straight path and follow it. These things are already there for us. It's just for us to key into some of these things and make our country work for us. But how do we start? We start by electing the best among us, and we encourage that best among us to lead us properly.
All right, Sam Woko, thank you for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very insightful conversation with you.
Thank you.
And we do hope that you will be here next time to discuss something more pressing. All right. We say very big thank you for being a part of the show so far. This is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. Sam Woko has been my guest, and he is the deputy editor of the Nigerian Tribune.
Thank you.
All right. Leadership is not just about who holds office. It is about what people demand, tolerate, and defend. If we must break free from the grip of misrule, followers must rise to the responsibility of citizenship, informed, active, and unyielding in the face of incompetence. Around the world, nations thrive when citizens lead with values and leaders are held to a high standard. Nigeria cannot be an exception unless we choose to be. Thank you for being a part of the big story today. Let the conversation continue, not just in words, but in action. Samson Balogun is my name.